Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Grow My Salon Business podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Whitaker, and it's great to have you here with us today. This is the weekly podcast for ambitious stylists and salon owners. Now, in case you don't already know, on the 16th and 17th of March, we have our Business School Live event at the House of Sassoon in London. We still have a few tickets available, so to find out more, visit growmysalonbusiness.com/course/business school live. And I'll put that link in today's show notes as well. So come and join me at the House of Sassoon for my Grow Business School Live event. This is a 2-day intensive, no BS experience designed to give you a clear, actionable roadmap to building a profitable and successful salon business on your terms. It's led by me, and this is more than just a seminar. It's your ticket to transforming your salon's future. So whether you're an aspiring salon owner or a seasoned business owner, this workshop will equip you with the tools to put your salon on the fast track for growth. And at the end of the 2 days, I promise you'll leave with a plan that you can start executing immediately to help take you and your business to the next level. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, Vish, Unite Hair Care, and Salon IQ for making this event possible. So to find out more, check out growmysalonbusiness.com/course/business school live. So with that said, let's get on with today's episode. The Grow My Salon Business podcast has been going in its present form since 2018, and during that time I've often had new listeners ask which episode is my favourite, and that's a little bit like asking who is my favourite child, to which I'll always say I love them all just the same. And so it is with the podcast. I like every guest and every episode the same, but there are inevitably some that stand out as being something that every hairdresser and every salon owner should listen to. And one of them is from way back in April 2019. It was episode 5 where I had Meagan McCormack from the Visible Changes Salon Group on the show. Now you have to listen in order to understand why, but believe me when I say that Visible Changes is an incredible business. So on that note, let me introduce you to a replay of episode 5. I promise you, it's an hour of your time that's very well spent. So welcome to the podcast, Meagan McCormack, Chief Operating Officer of the Visible Changes Salon Group in Texas. Hi, Meagan.
Hi, Anthony. It's so nice to be here.
It is great to have you here. Thank you so much for making the time to talk to us today.
Thank you for having me.
No, the pleasure's all mine, I promise you. So look, for any of our audience who haven't heard of Visible Changes, there's probably some people out there that maybe haven't. Can I just get you to start off by just giving us an overview into Visible Changes as a company and, you know, the people who own it and people who run it, etc.
Absolutely. So we started in Houston 41 years ago. Our anniversary is going to be in October, so we'll hit 42 years, which is amazing. And it was started by my parents, John and Maryanne McCormack. My brother Johnny and I have taken over since. He's been in for about 12 years. I've been in for about 5.5 now. We have 13 locations throughout Texas. We have 8 in Houston, 2 in San Antonio, 2 in Austin, and 1 outside of Dallas in Frisco, Texas. We have about 750 employees right now. So our salons range from about 20 employees to about 120 employees at our largest. And that includes stylist, front desk, management, back room. If we have sweepers or stalkers or cleaning help, then that includes all of them as well. We do about 50. Last year, we did about 51 million in sales. This year, we're projected to hit about 46, so we're down a little bit. And that's kind of a little bit of a background on us. We're big on celebrating our staff. We're big on rewarding our staff. We're big on personal development and really growing. I know we're going to get into all of that in a little bit, but that's kind of a background of us. We're departmentalized at almost all of our locations. Some of our smaller, older locations, we still have people that were grandfathered into doing both cutting and coloring, but that's also a nice little tidbit for people. to really get to know us.
Okay, fantastic. Well, there's some good things there I want to dig into straight away.
Yeah.
Did you? I didn't realize you had salons that were as small as having 20 employees. I mean, that's a lot, but I have been into your salons, and I know that some of them are giants, basically. And did you say the biggest one has 120 employees in one salon?
Yes.
Right. Okay. And did I hear you right? Did you just say $51 million in sales?
Yes.
Okay, 51 million with 13 salons.
Yes.
Wow, that is a serious number. We have quite an audience in the US, but we've also got a lot of people in Australia and the UK. So a quick conversion on what $51 million looks like in pounds, it's about 40 million UK pounds, or Australian or Canadian dollars. It's about 74 million dollars out of 13 salons. So that really puts it into some perspective. A couple of other things you just mentioned as you were saying that, I may have misheard you. Did you say that includes sweepers and stalkers?
Yes.
Okay. What are sweepers and what are stalkers?
So we have some of our locations, our bigger locations, we have cleaning help. So we have ladies that we've hired that have come in, they help us clean, they help us do towels, they help us sweep, they help us keep the salon cleaned and managed. We also have in our larger locations, we have people that are there to just help us stock retail, to pull it down from the attic, keep making sure all of our shelves are beautiful, making sure that they're clean. And it's a full-time job because we're so busy. And so we're big on educating our guests and having them take home products with them so that they can look great and recreate the looks that we have. So Some of our locations have people who stock.
Okay, I've got you. Okay, you're gonna laugh. I thought you said stalkers, not stalkers. Okay,
Like,
so I was thinking, what the hell's a stalker? I could figure out what a sweeper was, but I was okay. Let's just move right on from that little bit of an Antonyism. Okay, so people that are listening to this, when they hear a salon that's that big, that's that successful, that's making those sort of sales, there is one question that's running through their head, and that is, how do you do that? Like, what is the secret? Where do I start with digging in to some questions about that? But what is the secret? How does Visible Changes manage to build a business that size? What are some of the fundamental beliefs and philosophies that you have as a company have?
Yeah, so there are three main things that I talk about to all of our new employees. Our first is, welcome to the family. You're hired. You're a part of our family now. We're family owned, family run. And that's the culture that we have. We are a family. If you ask any of our people, what's the best part about your company? They always say we're a family. And so when my parents are originally from New York, and so they moved down to Texas because of the opportunity that was here. And they wanted to create a company that was also their extended family because they didn't have any family here. And so I think that's really what separates us from most other people, is that we really are a family. Like, we truly care about each other. We love each other. We want the best for each other. And so that separates us initially. Number two is my favorite part about this company. And some people, I don't know, some people can take it the wrong way, but I think it's awesome. I think that everybody that's come into our company has, whether they've left or not, has become a better version of them because of the culture that we have. So we are big on personal development. We want you to grow. We want you to learn. We want to grow. We want to learn. And so that's the culture that we have here. And so my favorite thing is there's not a single person that's come into our company that hasn't stayed or left and become a better version of them. And number three, what separates us from everybody else is our education. One of my parents' founding beliefs is the only thing that can separate us as human beings is education. Not saying that it has to be a college level education, but you have to constantly be learning and growing and evolving yourself as a person. And so when you join us, we have our own training program that you go through. You earn your way into the training program by having conditioner sales while you're a trainee. So a trainee is somebody who just joins with us. They help clean the salon, they help shampoo, they help do towels, they help in any way that we need them to help. And then while they're shampooing, they have an opportunity to upsell a conditioner, and their conditioner sales are how they earn class. So we start them out, and they have our own basic training program. they can get on the floor. And then we have continued education throughout their entire career with us. We also have, in January, every year, we have a kickoff meeting. So we start our year with everyone coming together and learning about different things. This year, we were huge on personal development and how we want to grow as human beings this year. We have 2 more quarterly meetings, we call them, where we bring everybody together again. And it's a full 4 hours or 5 hours of educating on, where we're growing, what our company vision is, what we want to do. And so we're huge on continued education. So I think that's really what separates us, because when you have a group of people that want to continue to learn and grow, it creates a better culture, right? So then even if some people fall into ruts like we all do, we're all human, obviously, but you have an entire support system behind you that really wants you to do well. And so it changes the game a little bit.
For sure. So just fill us in a little bit on the family dynamic. I often talk to people who, have family businesses, and, sometimes they work really well. Other times there's big challenges having a family business. Just give us a little bit of the background about who your mum and dad are and how they started the business, what their role is in the business today, and also what your role is and what Johnny's role is.
Yeah, for sure. So my mom has been a hairdresser since she was 16. She is still a licensed hairdresser. She still cuts my dad and my uncle's hair. She's awesome. So she's been a hairdresser over 50 years. She is the matriarch of the company and the hairdressing hero of our company. She put together our entire training program. My dad used to be a New York City cop. He has worked on Wall Street. He's worked under several different business owners that he found, and they were all immigrants with successful businesses, which really trained his way of thinking, but he's more of like the business side of things. He knows how to look at numbers. He knows how to read numbers better than anyone I've ever met my entire life. He's awesome and inspiring, and he can look at numbers and figure out, what we can do here and the amount of numbers that it takes in order to do a trip or to have extra money so that we can go and have a dinner with our staff and do things. And so that's kind of how his brain has worked. And he's just phenomenal with that. I'm currently trying to understand how his brain works so I can get better at that, but he's awesome. So they came down here. They actually had to go to 302 banks before we ever got a loan for Visible Changes. They all said, if you were a Mexican restaurant, we'd give you the loan, but you're a hair salon and you're never going to make it. On the 301st bank, he wanted to quit. But I don't know my dad's a huge Walt Disney person, and my mom, is a huge support system for him. And anytime he's had, trials in his life, she's always been there. And so he almost gave up at the 301st bank. And she was like, didn't Walt Disney have to go to 301 banks for his loan for building Disney? And he was like, yeah. And she's like, don't you think you can go to 302? And he did. And that's when we got the loan. So that's a cool part of the story also that I love. But
Fantastic.
They're amazing.
Yeah. Well,
awesome.
I've heard a lot of the story before. I'd never heard that. So again, one of those ingredients of, tenacity is one of the things behind that, success. So John, your dad, and Maryanne, your mum, are they still actively involved in the company today?
So my mom retired, but she still comes in and works as an advisor. We still talk to her about everything that we're doing. She's very much still involved in terms of like having the conversations and seeing where things are going. And she's constantly wanting to help and gives her 2 cents. And I go to her all the time on what she thinks. So she's still involved, but with the retired umbrella. We also have our own charity that we started. It's called There For You, THAIR, like hair. And we provide free wigs for anyone going through cancer. So they'll come in, we'll shave their head, we'll fit them for a wig, we'll cut it to their style. It's free of charge for them. We started that charity because she was diagnosed with breast cancer 10 years ago now. 10 years ago this October. And so we started that charity. And so she helps run that. She also is very involved in the hospitals in Houston. She sits on several boards. She volunteers down there and she talks to people going through cancer. She also helps in any way that she can. We also volunteer at a community out here for adults with mental disabilities. And so they have every second Tuesday of the month, she takes a team and they go out there and they cut all the citizens' hair out there. And so she's still very much involved, but more on the charity side of things now. And then kind of as an advisor for us. My dad is still coming into the office at least 4 days a week. He's still helping us on any big decisions that we make, but he's kind of just letting us run things now. My middle brother, who's not in the business, is in real estate. And so they work on a lot of real estate things and he helps him with real estate and all that kind of stuff. So still involved, but again, more as an advisor, but he's here more often than my mom would be.
Okay. And so it's you and Johnny who effectively run the company then?
Yes.
Yeah. And how do you divvy up the roles between yourself?
So it's kind of just like where our strengths are. And we're both really good at identifying our strengths and then celebrating the other strengths. Johnny looks at things differently than I do, which is really awesome. We just did our sit down. So we sit down with our staff twice a year and we hand out bonuses, but we also, when we sit down, we do goals for the year and, what numbers they want to hit. And we look at their past 5 years. And so right now, Johnny's brain is, he sits with people and he shows them how productive they could be with the hours that they are working. My sit downs are a little bit differently. Mine are really about the person and really kind of deep diving where they are, where they live emotionally, where they would like to live, and the person that they want to grow into. I used to be the numbers person also, but I've kind of changed my direction this year because what makes me tick is really figuring out how to help people grow into the person that they want to become.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I used to, sorry to interrupt you. I was just, whenever you start talking about that, I always think of what your title used to be, because I gather you no longer have that title. And I really loved it because I'd never met anyone else with it.
It's still a huge part of me.
Okay. So tell everyone, what was your business title, or is your business title?
My title a year after I started was Chief Happiness Officer.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant. And now it's Chief Operating Officer, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So
as well as.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't let go of CHO. It was really fun for me. Johnny actually was the one that gave me that title. When I came in, my big thing was, are you happy? Are you happy with you? Because if you're not happy with you, you can't be happy with anybody else. So you can choose to be happy every single day. It's the only thing that you have, right? And so one of my favorite quotes is all about happiness. I have a sign in my office that says choose happiness. I think it's a big part of me. And so he was like, this should be your title. And so it was fun.
Good. Well, it's interesting how, for a lot of people, going to work is their happy place, that not everyone has a great home life. So, yes. Recognizing how important that emotional connection is with your team is obviously, again, something that's really fundamental to your success. When you talk about your mum, I was in the car with her once, and she had this Excel spreadsheet with her, and she said, "Oh, I must remember to do this." And I was like, "Well, what is it?" And she said, "Oh, they're my calls for the day." Do you want to tell us what it was that she was doing? I mean, I know, but our audience doesn't. I'd rather you told the story than me.
Yes, absolutely. I know. And it's so second nature to me. I always forget this part. So I'm glad that you brought it up. My mom, for the entire duration that our company has been alive, so for 41 years, she calls every single person on their birthday or on their company anniversary with us. And she wishes them a happy birthday or happy anniversary. And so every day she calls usually at least 1 to 6 or 7, sometimes even more people. And it's really great because sometimes their own parents don't wish them a happy birthday, and a lot of companies forget about birthdays or anniversaries, and that's big for us. And so it's definitely her tie still into the company, and she loves it, and they love hearing from her, and it's really awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think that's sort of with, what did you say, 800 plus staff in total?
Yeah, we're about 750 to 800 now. Right. Yeah.
So, that's a lot of people to call without a doubt.
Yes.
And you'd need a spreadsheet to remember people's names, and birthdays is one thing, but anniversaries. One of the things. I mean, I've been privileged to get a little bit of an insight into your company on more than one occasion, and it's always the thing that stands out to me is the it's the amount of celebrations you have. You celebrate everything. So yes, people's birthdays, but even people's work anniversaries. I mean, most salon owners out there wouldn't know that, today is Mary's 5-year anniversary and that next week is Susan's 10-year anniversary or whatever. And, there's a lot of value, isn't there, in acknowledging people's anniversaries and celebrating them.
Absolutely. But it's also nice to see people who have really dedicated their careers to one place and have made so much of themselves. We just celebrated 2 of our people. One of our managers celebrated 30 years with us, and one of our other corporate people, and he's been in so many positions with us, just celebrated 34 years. And we celebrated that yesterday, actually. And so that was really awesome. And you get them to speak and talk about, the growth and how they've grown. And it's really awesome. Yeah. It's really, really awesome.
Well, one of the things that is important for every business is client retention, but also staff retention. How long do you keep your average team member? Is that a metric that you track at all?
I haven't looked at that in a minute, but the last time I looked at it, our average stylist is with us around 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. So, that's what I thought from previous conversations. And, I don't know if there is an accurate statistic for what average retention is. But interestingly, I did read something recently about corporate America, and it was saying that the average person stays in a job in corporate America for just over 3 years. So the fact that you're keeping people for 10 years as an average is phenomenal.
Yes.
And I know that when I was in your Memorial City salon last year, I met someone who was walking around with a badge on that she was in the $6 million club or something. And I said, how long have you been here? And she'd been there for 37 years. That sort of loyalty and commitment is fantastic.
Yes, actually, that same person celebrated 38 years on conference day this year.
Fantastic. And has she got to the $7 million club yet?
Not yet.
Okay. That's incredible. We need to tell everyone what that means. $7 million club. So what does that mean?
So we measure a lot of things here. We measure lifetime sales. And so lifetime sales is a big thing for us, just like work anniversary is a big thing for us. And we have parties for the $500,000 club, the $1 million club, all the way up to now we have a $7 million person. And so she's been with us for a very long time. But her lifetime total is 7 million. Of that 7 million, she has over 2 million in retail sales.
Right. So 5 million in services, 2 million in retail sales.
Yes.
And lifetime. And how long has she been with the company?
She's been with us, probably around the same, probably around 38, maybe 35, 36 years.
Wow. Okay. That's incredible. I'm, lucky enough to be an insider into your private Facebook group. And,
yes.
I'll dip in and out of there every week or so. I'll have a look at what's been going on. And I'm always intrigued by, again, the amount of celebrations that you do. There's always people celebrating their best week ever, their best day ever, their best month ever, their best quarter, their best retail, and they rarely celebrate it. And it sort of seems so obvious that this is what you should do. But so few salons go out of their way to acknowledge and genuinely celebrate people's achievements. Some of the things I see you doing, you and your team doing on Facebook is quite extraordinary. Tell us a little bit about that, about those celebrations and the value in them.
Yeah, so it's actually 5 years ago, we brought in this it's almost like a decal that you can post up onto the mirror, and it says hashtag BWE for best week ever.
Yeah.
And so every time somebody has their best week ever, we put it on their station, we take a picture, we celebrate them. And then it's really cool because then our guests get involved and they say, what is that? And they say, I just hit my best week ever last week. And then that gets the conversation going. And our staff and our clients have an amazing bond, right? And so if they know that we're very goal oriented, they know that we want to accomplish things. And so when they see that, they're like, we want to help you get your best week ever again. And so it's a conversation, and it's exciting and it's fun, and they're accomplishing things and they feel good. And that's really fun. So we have best week ever. We have celebrations. We have chair cutting celebrations when people first get onto the floor. And so we decorate their station and we have ribbon that goes up and they get to cut it like it's a new store opening. And so they get to cut their way to their chair, which is also really fun. I mean, we celebrate everything that we can celebrate. We try to celebrate. We have people that celebrate, first 100,000 in total sales. We have people that celebrate the first time they get a comment in a paycheck. We celebrate the first time that they hit $500 in a day, the first time they hit $2,000 or $1,000 in a week, or $2,000 in a week, or a great retail percentage, 20%, 25%. I mean, we try to look for everything that we can celebrate and then celebrate it, because life's more fun that way.
Exactly. And so you've set up all these metrics and all these systems, more importantly, that allow you to track what those milestones are. Yeah. Or do you leave it up to the stylist to be able to track their own milestones?
So we put a lot of it on our management team, and our management team does a great job.
Yeah.
I wish our IT program is incredible. We have one guy who's been with us. He just celebrated 30 years with us, and he built our entire IT program. We're moving to an off the shelf right now, which has been a whole nother project. But I wish we had more like alerts. Like I wish I could just wish something and it would come up. Like I wish we had like a Facebook for our company where it had our birthdays and anniversaries and everything would pop up. And so it would be like when somebody hit a huge week or whatever, but we do watch their best week evers. We have managers that watch it, and our co-managers watch it. And so that's something that we do manually. So, I mean, you can imagine some of our salons, we have 65 stylists. Some of our salons, like I said, we have more like 15 stylists. So it's a little bit easier for them, a little bit harder for the bigger salons, but it's a huge emotional deposit, and we're huge on that.
Yeah.
We also have reports, and so full reports. And so we celebrate all the things that we can. Like I know at Memorial City, we just had somebody who is kind of our third tier of stylists. And for our cutters, we have 7 tiers that they can go up. And she was number 2 in the entire company for retail sales. And so, when we have something huge like that, I'll send them a personal text message and say, congratulations, we're watching. This is amazing. Their best week ever. I text them every week and say, congratulations, you just hit your best week ever. This is awesome. So it's another nice like emotional deposit, because they know that we're watching. They know that we care.
Yeah.
And we're excited to see them grow.
Yeah. So what sort of numbers are we talking about when you say that this is a person who's the second best at retail in the company? Are you talking about for that week or ever, or for a month or a year?
For the week.
For the week. Okay. And so what sort of numbers would that be that they've achieved in a week in retail? I just know that when you've got people like, I think your record holder, you told me, was Farida, who's in the $2 million club in lifetime retail sales. And so I just wonder how much retail, what does that look like a week in retail sales, for an individual? What are they averaging? Because, they're not averaging a couple of $100 a week. That's for sure. They're well over $1,000 a week. Well, they're probably nearer to $2,000 a week in retail, which is phenomenal.
Absolutely. I just pulled, I pulled a sheet. It's not individuals, but like salons. So our salons will range anywhere from 20,000 a week in retail sales to last week to 181,000.
So we're one salon. Wow.
Yes, we're doing just under about $1 million a week in sales, and our retail sales are 3,500 to 30,000 a week.
Okay, yeah, and as a company, you're doing about $1 million a week in sales.
Right.
Yeah, got it. Okay. The salon you mentioned, Memorial City, I went in there. I forget when it was now. Towards the end of last year, it's probably the biggest salon that I've ever been into, and I know that you, when you talked about it to me off air before, you were saying that it was 13,000 square feet, and I had to Google. Like, I don't get my head around it when someone says 13,000 square feet, how big that is. So what I did was I Googled what's the size of a tennis court. And basically a 13,000 square foot salon is the size of 6 tennis courts. Now, if I'm listening to that as one of our audience thinking that is one hell of a salon, the size of 6 tennis courts, that's what a 13,000 square foot salon looks like, with 100 and how many staff did you say? 130 staff in there?
About 120.
About 120. How many front desk people are there at a salon that size?
Oh my gosh, front desk, I think we probably have 20.
Yeah, it's incredible. Just the sheer volume.
Yeah, maybe even more between, part-time people. I know that we have 20 trainees in the back right now.
Yeah. And 20 trainees in the back alone of that one salon. Okay. Yes. All right. That's impressive. I was lucky enough to speak at your conference a couple of years ago. And I had been forewarned about it a little bit before I got there, which is just as well, because it is the most amazing company conference I've ever seen. Do you want to talk to us about that? I don't want to take anything away from it or add anything in. I just want you to talk about it because it is mind-blowing. And I think a lot of it sort of is an example of why you're so successful as a company. And it's sort of taking this thing about celebrating to a pinnacle.
To a whole new level, yeah.
You're not kidding.
Yes, I would love to talk about it. So another part of us, all of our salons are in malls. So all of our locations are in malls. We work retail hours. We're open 7 days a week. We are only closed 5 days a year. So we're closed Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and our company conference. So that's how important conference is for us. And it's a day where we close all of our locations. We get dressed up like we're going to the Academy Awards, and it's the Academy Awards of our company. And so we have a full day dedicated to celebrating our staff. So we rent out a ballroom at a hotel downtown, and we have everybody come, and we start our day with a fashion show from our artistic team, and they did an amazing job this year. It was so unbelievable. We had a great stylist come in. His name was Nicholas Wynn. His gowns were beautiful. All of his clothes were amazing. But it's a full day of dedicating, rewarding our staff and celebrating them for all the accomplishments that they did the year before. So we, at that time, will give away trophies, we give money, we give jewelry, we give trips, we give cars. I mean, you have an opportunity to earn so many things here. And so it's a party for about 8 hours. Every time we have noise complaints from other people in the hotel, but we have loud music. I mean, it's unbelievable. The energy in the room, you just have to feel it. It's something you have to experience, but it's insane. Like the lights are down. We have loud music the entire time. We have videos playing. We are dancing. We're celebrating. It's so much fun. So much fun.
When I attended it, the only thing I could compare it to is an Anthony Robbins event.
Yes.
And so anyone who's been to an Anthony Robbins event will know exactly what it is that we're talking about here. And the way you described it is exactly what it is. I mean, when I first got there, I think it was in the Hilton or the Hyatt in Houston, yes. and in the foyer of the hotel, there were, I might be wrong, but there are 5 cars.
Yes.
I think there were 5 cars with ribbons around them in the foyer of the hotel with a big, white ribbon around it. And then during the day, it's like, come on down and get your car. You've done the most retail for the year or whatever it was they'd done. And so there were, 5 cars given away. There were checks given away for multiple thousands of dollars. I mean, it was really quite incredible. And I think in the room, obviously, it wasn't just the staff. There was obviously some of them had family members and stuff with them. But it was just the most incredible event that I've ever seen put on by any, individual hairdressing group, by far. It absolutely just blows everything else out of the water. You also just said, that some of the prizes and stuff are trips. Tell us about them. What do you mean that you give away trips?
Yeah, so we have 2 trips a year. We have one for our newer to career staff. Their first 2 years with us, they have a goal. If they hit the goal, then we take them on a cruise to Mexico out of Galveston. Usually it's a 4 or 5 day cruise. It's a lot of fun. And then we have a company trip every year for our top producers. So there's another goal for our A volume salons. It's $200,000 a year. And so when they hit that goal, then we take them on a trip every year. Usually it's a 5 day. This year we're flying to Miami and we're taking a cruise to Key West in Cuba, actually. So that's really fun. We've gone, I mean, man, where have we gone? We've gone to Mexico. Last year we went to Montana. We've been to, oh my gosh, we've been so many places. It's crazy.
Well, I know you do these big international trips.
Yes, we've done big international trips. We used to do a 5-year trip. We haven't done that. We didn't do that 2 years ago. But in the past, we've taken them to Australia for 2 weeks on a cruise all around Italy. We've taken them to on a 2-week cruise all around South America. The last 5-year trip that we went on was to Tahiti, Bora Bora, and the French Polynesia. That was really fun. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's, anywhere from 80 people to 200 people. And wherever we go, we take over it's a blast. I like to call them our family reunions because, like I said, we are a family company. So imagine a family reunion with, 80 of your closest friends that are also hairdressers, and their spouses. They can bring their spouse, and it's a lot of fun.
and to attend, they have to achieve certain sales figures.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So what's the benchmark for the sales figure that they have to achieve to attend?
For our A volume salons, which is our bigger volume salons, it's $200,000 a year. For our B volumes, it's $180,000 a year. And then some of our smaller salons, it's $150,000 a year.
Yeah, in total sales, so retail and services.
Yes.
That is incredible. And just to put this in perspective, the prices that you charge in the salon for haircuts and colors, what is the sort of range that you charge for haircuts?
So our men's haircuts are anywhere from $25 to $60, and our women's cuts are anywhere from $30 to $80. If we have, we are in Texas, so if we have extra thick, extra long hair, they can charge extra for that. But that's really our range. I mean, our whole business model is we want to get you in and we want to get you out. We want to give you a quality cut, but we know how important time is. And we want to give you the quality in the smallest amount of time while you look great, educate you so you can do it at home, get you on your way.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, when you're talking about you got to do 200,000 a year, they're thinking, well, we don't charge enough to do that, which is why I wanted to hear, from you. The price point that you're at is not exorbitant. So at that price point, to be doing 200 a year, you've got to be highly productive, don't you? So you're not coming to work sat in the staff room. In fact, when I walked around your salons, there were staff rooms, but there were very few people ever in them. They were all out on the floor working, like madly productive.
Yeah. Our big thing is if you're going to come to work, then let's focus, right? So if you're going to be at work, be at work. And if you're going to be at home, be at home. Don't wish you were somewhere else because you're not there. And so you're just going to be wasting your life, right? So if you're going to be at work, then be at work and hustle. And you have an opportunity to change people's lives by making them look and feel better. And so we're really big on making sure that we stay booked and making sure that, we don't have a lot of downtime. Downtime in our eyes, like our break room is known as the broke room. Downtime in our eyes is not good.
Yeah, exactly. So there is one thing that we haven't mentioned. There are so many areas that I can dig into with your business that are incredibly inspiring. But one of them is, what's the word for it? All I can say is your dad and doctors. Can you just flesh that story out? Because it's well worth hearing.
Yes, absolutely. So like I said at the beginning, we're big on education, right? And the whole reason that we wanted to start this company, or my parents wanted to start this company, and really my mom, is she didn't like the way that people looked at her when she said that she was a hairdresser, because stereotypically that's not a great career choice, right? And so we wanted to get out and really change the industry and change the way that people looked at hairdressers. So my dad also started an education foundation. We actually have two. So one of them is for all of our employees' children that want to go to college. They can apply to get a scholarship through us. We also have a doctor education foundation set up. So we were at conference one year and my dad was, stalling. Mom needed some time in the back getting the show ready. And somebody asked him, when will you be a success? When will you have enough money? And he said, it's not about money. And if you're doing it for money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. But I think I'll be a success when one of my kids becomes a doctor. And he said, well, that's easy for you. You have the money to send them to school. And he was like, no, you misunderstood me. I said, when one of our kids becomes a doctor. And he was like, I'm not just saying my kids, I'm saying our kids. We're a family. So after that, he had 3 girls run up to him and say, you were talking to me. And he was like, girls, I was talking to all of you. If you want to become a doctor, I'll pay for it. And so he set up, if you want to become a doctor, if you're one of our stylist children, you want to become a doctor, we will pay for your education, all of your education, as long as you keep an A average. And then once you become a doctor, you have to donate 5% of your time for 5 years back to a charity of your choice. And that's his way of giving back. And so far we've had 6 doctors come through and graduate. We have 3 more in school right now. One of our number one person in our company, her daughter is currently in California. She's working on her MD PhD program and is amazing, doing so well out there. But yeah, so we have 6 doctors that have come through already. We've got 3 more on the way. And I think, a few more after that are wanting to come in. So it's been awesome. It's really
incredible.
Really life-changing.
Yeah. What a company. What a company. Okay, we are heading towards the time where we need to start thinking about wrapping up. I hate bringing up this person, but I have to bring her up because whenever I talk about visible changes, she is one person that I always bring up, and that is Christine Lee. And I always feel it's a little bit of an invasion of privacy talking about her, but I know that you're proud to talk about the achievements of your staff. She's your all-time record holder. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah? So talk about what that means to people. Like, what is a record holder? What does that mean?
So Christine, her highest year was $612,000 personally.
In sales?
In total sales.
$612,000 in haircuts and colors and retail, sorry.
In just haircuts, keratin treatments, extensions, and retail. Wow. No color.
612,000.
612,000.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Now, full disclosure with that year, she was working a lot.
Yeah.
She was working a lot and she wanted to hit that goal. The previous person had hit, I think, around 602,000, and she wanted to make sure that she went above it. And so she was really dedicated to that. She scaled back a little bit. And when I say scaled back, I mean, she works the hours that she wants to work. She vacations when she wants to vacation, and she still does over $320,000 a year.
And that's on an $80 haircut.
Yes.
Right. Okay. She's doing a lot of haircuts still.
She's doing a lot of haircuts.
Yeah.
She can do a haircut in 20 minutes, and
right.
She sells like no one I've ever seen. I mean, she knows how to work. She knows how to be productive.
Yeah. So what is she averaging? 3 or 4 clients an hour then, I suppose?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And assistants, how many assistants would she have to be able to do that?
Our company, we don't have personal assistants. We only have assistants for the entire salon. So she doesn't have anyone that is assigned to her as an assistant. We just have people in the salon that help.
Okay. So she's doing all her own haircuts, all her own blow dries. She's got someone else sweeping up and getting a client a coffee and doing shampoos, but that's what she's producing on her own.
Yes, she's doing all the cuts and blow dries herself. Absolutely.
Yeah. I can remember when I heard about Christine the first time and that she'd turned over in total sales, 612,000. And I can remember hearing that the amount that she was paid that year was basically the same as what the president at that time was President Obama was paid. And I thought, isn't that just a phenomenal story that someone can start off as a hairdresser and they can reach those levels of reward? There's very few people that are capable of doing that. There's very few salons anywhere in the world that produce that sort of sales revenue, but it's all credit to yourself, your parents, and your brother that you've built a culture that encourages and rewards people for being that productive. So I take my hat off to you. And, a lot of these numbers we've shared today, I mean, I've known them from previous conversations and, having had some involvement with you. And it just never ceases to amaze me, like as a company, because in our industry, I talk to a lot of salon owners and, there are salons out there that are very successful, and that's fantastic because we need more success stories. Because there's a lot of salons out there that aren't successful and a lot of owners and a lot of stylists that are struggling. And it's great for them to hear that it's possible to do that. It's not easy. No one's saying it's easy, but it's possible. And it's always looking at you as a business and going, how do you do this? What is the secret?
Right. So, and it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like we are experiencing the same things that are happening throughout the entire industry, right? It's like we still have walkouts. We still have people leaving. We still have turnover. We still hurt. We still have the negatives too.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, do we have an amazing company? Yes. But do we still have our own things that we're going through? Absolutely. I mean, we're a transition company. We transitioned from my parents into my brother and I. There was ups and downs with that. There are still ups and downs with that. There are still ups and downs with booth rent being such a huge thing. And so it's not, it's not all good all the time, but it's a personal choice on what you're going to look at and where you're going to spend your energy. Right. And so I'm big on, okay, so let's look for the good in it. There has to be some good, and like, let's keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to keep going. We have to keep looking, and we have to hustle through, because at the end of the day, if you really look at it and if you really ask people, what's your purpose in life? A lot of people don't know. But if you say, why did you choose this career? I've asked half of our company, we've done sit downs now. I've asked half of our company, what's your purpose in life? Half of them know, half of them don't. I say, why did you choose this career? And I get a version of 5 things. Number 1, I like to help people feel good. I like to help people. I like to be creative. I love the feeling after they look at themselves, and I like to make people happy. Nobody says I did it for the money. Nobody says, I did it because whatever. It's their purpose. And I'm like, how crazy, isn't that your purpose then? And it finally clicks for them. And I'm like, that's what we do. We change people's lives for the better, and sometimes we may not have a happy client, but at the end of the day, if you remember your purpose walking in, if you remember, I have an opportunity to change somebody's life, and there's a reason that this guest was placed in my chair today, then you don't get stuck in the mundane or the job or the repetition where it gets boring, because every day you're looking and saying, okay, how can I be of service to this person? How can I help them? How can I make them feel better? And that's really what we do. Yeah,
exactly. And that is an important thing to finish up on there, with saying that it's not all roses, that that you have the same challenges, even though you're a phenomenally successful company, you have the same challenges and the same frustrations as a salon owner down the road with 2 or 3 staff, and that is the reality of it. And it's about how you deal with those challenges. So just to finish up on then, for that person who's listening, that young salon owner out there who's got 3, 4, 5 staff, 10 staff, whatever it is, 1 salon. And that's the majority of the people that will be listening to this, for them to be able to relate to what you're talking about. Yes, it's inspiring, but there must be a part of them that goes, well, that is just so far away from connecting with me and my business. But what would you say to them? What are 3 takeaways that you would want them to take from this, as to these are the 3 things you need to do to build a team and build a business, whether you've got 2 staff members or 850 staff members? What would those 3 kernels be?
My number one, and really what I've been honing in on for the last 6 months, has been, you need to be your true, unapologetic, authentic self leading your team, right? And so what does that mean? That means whoever you think you have to be in order to lead, you don't. You have to be you in your truest form. And that's when people are magnetically attracted to you. And that's when people want to be around you. And so for me, that was a big learning that I've learned in the last 6 months, because I came in and I was like, well, I have to be this and I have to be that. And, I have to be strong and I have to be firm. And recently I'm like, you know what? Like, that's not me. That's not where my passion is. That's not where my purpose is. Me personally, like, my purpose in life is, when I'm open and loving, I have a light, and I want to pull the light out of other people and help them grow, right? And so my number one would be really figure out, like, hone in on who you are, and more importantly, the person that you want to become, and be that person, because there's only one you. So don't try to be anybody else. Don't try to have a company like anyone else. Build what you want, right? And enjoy your team and get to know them and allow them to be themselves. Because if you can get them in their true form, people will be magnetically drawn to them, right? And that's at least that's my personal big focus for our company this year, is I want them to figure out the person that they want to become without the fear, without the anxiety, and without the social negativity that people put on, right? And so that would be my number one, like, stay true to who you are and really figure out who you want to become, so that you're constantly growing into that person and you're constantly growing into a better version of you. Number 2 is celebrate them. And it doesn't have to be big. One of our people, I just sat down with him. He's been with us for 34 years. He's incredible. And he stayed with us because he had failed training the first time. And the second time, he got on the floor and one of our managers gave him a cupcake. And that cupcake meant so much for him that it's literally kept him here on his worst days.
Wow.
And so it doesn't have to be this huge, like, outlandish thing, right? But like the small things that show people that you appreciate them are what's most important. It can be like, I'm a big person on cards. I love cards. So I have across from my office desk, I have a wall. It's my thank you wall. So any thank you card I get, I have and I put up. And so my hard days, I go and I read people's words on, how their life has transformed. And that's big for me, but that's just me personally, right? So like, I love cards. Figure out who your team is and what really makes them tick. And then like, manage to them, right? Like grow them as a person. We all make mistakes. We know that we've made a mistake. You don't have to harp on it. You don't have to make me feel bad. I already know I messed up. And so yes, acknowledge it so that they learn from it, but don't live there, right? You can get better. We've all made mistakes. We're all human. As long as you learn and grow, then let's keep going. But we talk about the cars and we talk about the jewelry, and yes, those things are fantastic. And I love that we do them. It's so cool. It really makes us unique, but it doesn't have to be a car. It doesn't have to be jewelry. It doesn't have to be a trip, but they do want quality time with you. And that's something that's really been important too, is people have been vocal and they're like, it's nice when we get to sit down and we get to know you as a person and really figure out who you are, because then it gets us better connected with you. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like, that's awesome. And so really getting to know people like on a human level of who they are, what makes them tick. And then you can give them rewards based on that, right? Some people want time off. Some people don't want time off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it doesn't take a lot. Like it can be a card. It can be a thank you. It can be a dinner if you want to make it a dinner. I mean, there's so many things that you can do, but dangling carrots in front of people to get them motivated really works, right? And having a goal for the entire team to do is really great than just individual, because then they're working together as a team, which also helps.
Yeah.
And then education and personal development is my big thing, right? So I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly listening to videos and podcasts, and I'm constantly sharing it. I'm sharing it with our management team. I'm sharing it. I share it with my friends. I share it with everybody, right? And because I'm just big on it. Like I want people to grow. I want them to think outside the box. And so if you have no idea how to motivate a team, I would be looking at like a Tony Robbins. I'd be looking at Earl Nightingale. I'd be looking at Dale Carnegie. I'd be looking at Les Brown, Zig Ziglar. These are people who have been in the game forever that are still relevant, that are still incredible. And it's easy stuff. It's things that you've heard before. And it's just a nice refresh. And it's also nice to have your staff listen to somebody that's not you.
Yes.
So that they get a different message.
Yeah, of course.
I did a big meeting in January, like I said, at our kickoff, and I got real with them on things that I was struggling with and how I've grown personally. And, I looked at a relationship that I had with Johnny, and I was like, we go through things too. And I was just honest. And I was like, but I looked at him differently. And this is how I've grown as a person. And this is how I want to grow. And it really connected with people, right? Because everybody looks internally at what they have going on. So a lot of people had issues with their family members, and they were like, wow. And I only changed me in that, right? And so also like sharing your weaknesses and sharing where you're growing and sharing, aha moments when you've realized something. I think there's also something to be said about sometimes we get really stuck in arguments and we know that we're wrong, but we're already so far in that we can't go back now.
Yeah, of course.
That's also important to be like, okay, you're right. I'm sorry. But I have no issue apologizing. I have no issue going in front of my management team or our company and saying, I'm so sorry. I messed up. Please forgive me, because I know I'm going to mess up and I know they're going to mess up. And the great part is we have a culture where you're allowed to mess up, you're allowed to grow, and you're allowed to continue. And that would be the type of culture that I think most people would want to work in. And so if you can create that, then awesome. And if I can help with that, or if, anything that I've said helps with that, I hope it did. It's really a great culture to have everybody that wants to do well.
Yeah. Wow. That's a fantastic. I can't add anything to that. Okay. So finally, where can people connect with you? Are you on social media? Are you on Instagram, Facebook, anything like that?
I am on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Yeah, I'm on both of those. Meagan is spelled weirdly. It's Meagan. But yeah, find me on Facebook. Facebook's easy. Instagram's easy. Again, both of those I'm in. If I have an email also. It's Meagan@visiblechanges.com. Super easy. But yeah, I mean, I'm here if anybody needs anything.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, Meagan McCormack, it has been absolutely fantastic. I always enjoy just sitting here and listening to you and hearing about your business and what you've achieved and how you achieve it. And it never ceases to amaze and inspire me. And I'm sure likewise it would have inspired a lot of our listeners. So thank you ever so much for your time once again.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. It's so exciting to be a part of this.
Good. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you'd like to connect with us, you'll find us at growmysalonbusiness.com or on Facebook and Instagram at growmysalonbusiness. And if you enjoyed tuning into our podcast, make sure that you subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Until next time, this is Anthony Whitaker wishing you continued success.